o'clock, I'm going to call the meeting of the Grafton Finance Committee to order. It is Wednesday, September 29, 2021, 7 p.m. Tonight, the Finance Committee will be conducting a public hearing on the warrant for the 2021 Fall Town Meeting. I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
For a second.
Second.
All those in favor by roll call. Sue?
Aye.
Andy?
Aye.
Angelina?
Aye.
Gopal? Gopal? Going once, going twice.
Aye.
Dan?
Aye.
And Mark, aye. Barry?
Wait a minute, I'm reading the warrant. Oh, aye.
Aye from
So-
me. Sorry.
So when we go through this tonight, I'm going to ask anybody that has a question to use your raise your hand function, so that way we make sure we recognize everybody. I would also ask Barry to monitor the attendee list to see if anybody that's attending this public hearing has a comment, and to monitor the chat function to see if there's any comments coming in through there or the Q&A. And I would appreciate it, Barry, if you'd let me know if something comes up there. So are there any questions from anybody in the Finance Committee before we get started on the warrant? You've all had a chance. Yeah, William?
I don't know if anybody else is seeing this, but I still have the notification up at the top that we are in a practice session. So it seems like the webinar might not have been started yet for the general public.
Thank you. My fault. I should have done that. Now it's started. Should I start all over again?
No, just tell them we voted to open the meeting.
Yeah, so, yeah, we voted to open the public hearing, and we've entertained a motion and to do that. And so we are now in the public hearing for the warrant. Has all the members of the Finance Committee had a chance to review the warrant? I know Sue sent out a draft last week and then another one this afternoon, the actual signed warrant from the Select Board. Have you all had a chance to look at it?
Yes.
Andy, you're shaking your head no?
I did not do my homework, Mark, no.
Andy, am I going to have to put you in Zoom timeout?
It's possible.
So,
Well, we're gonna go through all the articles over the next 2 nights, so we'll be able to, hopefully, any questions that you have or any issues that come up, we can go through them. I'm going to share my screen with the warrant so that we have it up. Can everybody see that okay? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so that's why the raise your hand function is so important, because I'm not gonna be able to see everybody on the screen. Unless you raise your hand, you'll go right to the top of my screen, and that way I'll know you have a question. So first up are the articles submitted by the Conservation Commission, and I know Leah, I see you here. Welcome, thank you for being here tonight. You want to walk us through your articles?
Sure. Can you hear me okay?
Perfectly.
All right. So I have 2 articles. They're basically grouped together. We were approached by the developer of Bull Meadow subdivision. He has 2 pieces of land left after dividing up the rest for house lots. And he approached the commission to ask if we would like to accept them as donation for conservation land. One of them does abut existing conservation land at, I think it's 162 Old Westboro Road. So one would make, one is contiguous with that piece. So that would be the Article 3 is the one that is contiguous. Article 2 for 5 Rear Carriage House Lane is diagonal to the other piece.
So these are, how big are these lots?
One is about 7 acres, the other is about 5.
And so the Article 3 one, that abuts current conservation land?
Correct.
And then the other one is near it, or?
Correct.
Okay. Are there any questions from the Finance Committee? It seems pretty straightforward. It's nice when people donate land to the town. Have we done an analysis to figure out how much this is coming off the tax rolls?
aha,
So I did talk to assessors. Between the 2, we collected $192 in taxes in 2021.
Did you say 100? You know, I thought you were going to say $192,000 over the last 20 years or something. Not
No,
$192.
just 192. Yeah, you got
Evan,
it.
are you going to be okay losing that tax revenue?
I'm gonna probably have to lay William off, but we'll make it work.
Are there any Are there any questions? These seem very straightforward. It's nice to have a donation to the town. It doesn't sound like it's going to impact our budget overwhelmingly. So it seems like these two articles make great sense. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I'm looking for the raise your hand thing. Where the heck?
It's on the bottom of your screen, Barry.
Okay, oh, there it is. Okay, raise my hand.
Oh, look, Barry raised his hand. Yes, Barry.
I actually asked, the town does not pay any tax on this once we accept them. Isn't that correct?
If those in conservation land, they become tax exempt. Yes.
Yes, okay. That's all I needed.
Any other questions? Lee, I'm telling you, this is a very, very tough finance committee, and we let you off easy tonight. So thank you. Thank you very, very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So is Peter Carlson here yet? Peter's going to get on at 7:15. So we are way. Oh, Dan, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just wanted to point out there's a phone number attendee in the attendees right now, and just out of curiosity, I checked to see if I know that person by checking my my contacts. It's Irene. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just wanted
So
to
Irene said,
make
I'm
sure
going
you
to
knew that.
allow Irene. I'm going to allow Irene to talk. So she has now been promoted. So if she has questions, she can talk now. And so when she gets home, she will join by computer. So thank you, Dan. I'm glad you pointed that out, because I knew Irene sent an email and said she was going to join by phone.
Did Evan just lay off William because he just disappeared?
Yeah,
You lost
just like
William?
that. It was an instant cut, preemptory.
That's a handsome, what do you call that for William? Is that like a sketch? Like a
Yeah, it must
cartoon?
be. Yeah.
That is a photo, an official portrait that I took, and then in Photoshop made it look like a drawing.
Very nice. It looks great. I like it. I like it. So Evan,
Yeah,
you're here.
I am.
You have a bunch of articles.
Sure do.
So instead of waiting 10 minutes for Peter to get here, would you like to walk us through your articles?
Sure.
So which is your first one?
I believe I started Article 5. No, actually, Article 1 is mine.
Okay, go ahead.
So we are accepting a donation of real estate comprising of a parcel known as 101 Pine Street. This is like a little sliver of land on a corner that doesn't have any development value, but that we are going to accept.
And it's just going to be town-owned land, town-owned property,
Correct. Yep.
and it has no value, no tax loss, no anything.
Nope. Nope. Very straightforward.
Any questions from the finance committee?
Is there any benefit to accepting it, or is there's no up or down?
Is Leah still here?
No, Leo left.
Oh, okay. So it's part of like this intersection at Pine Street. And so us taking it just gives us a little sliver of land to then improve the corner, should we so desire. That's all.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, so if we ever had to do road work, we own it, so we don't have to go get an easement or do a
Correct.
taking.
Correct.
Good point.
Any other questions? That seems pretty straightforward. All right, let's jump up then to article number 5.
5
Evan?
is my next one. Yep. Let's get there real quick.
Is that you or the CPC article 5?
Nope, that's me.
Okay.
Nope, that's CPC. I'm Article 6. Sorry.
6, okay, there you are.
Yep. So this is to transfer $10,000 from free cash to cover the costs of doing a environmental study at the Follett Street well. This is something that they do annually that we missed on our initial pass of the budget, not knowing that that was something that we needed to take care of. So I guess there's some contamination out at that site, and we do this testing to make sure that the plume of contamination hasn't shifted.
I wondered why this wasn't in the operating budget, but now I know.
Yeah, that was us just not knowing that we needed to do it. We missed it somehow.
Any other, oh, go ahead, Barry.
Is there a reason why the water district is not paying for this assessment or this analysis?
There is. I don't understand all of the history, to be quite honest with you. I believe that it was part of the deal back in 2009 where they put in or we took some parcel of land and we're on the hook to test it. I can certainly, before we meet tomorrow, I can see if I can dig that history out. If you're inclined to know it, I just didn't go that far down the rabbit hole, to be honest with you.
You had other things to do, Evan? Is that what you're basically saying?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
Go ahead, Dan.
So just to be clear, you're saying this should have been in the operating budget and it'll go back to the operating budget in the future? Okay.
Correct. And just to be hyper clear, 10,000 isn't the full amount of the annual testing. It's more like 18,000. I have 8 in an environmental testing line that I can pull from. I don't have the remaining balance, so I'm just looking to clean that up.
Seems like a lot.
Yeah, I agree. I don't. I know that it's extensive testing and it's multiple times throughout the year. So I'd be happy to bring for the next meeting. I can see if I can email out more information on what exactly they're doing there.
I think that'll be helpful if you could. I'd
Yeah.
appreciate that if
Yeah,
you could.
no.
Hey,
no
before we
problem.
go on, was free cash certified?
No, I think Mary's on here, but it has not been certified yet. It's
Mary,
been
do you have an estimate?
1.9 million.
That's in line with the last couple of years, isn't it?
Yep, pretty close. Not stellar, but pretty good.
No, not bad, not bad.
Yep. Yeah, we'll take it. Sorry,
Um, any other questions on Article 6? All right, so now we're gonna jump ahead, Evan,
Yep.
to
Goodness. 17.
I knew I was gonna get there eventually. Oh, look at 17. Go ahead.
So 17 is to identify specific programs and or activities on which funds may be expended that are held in the school extended services revolving fund. So back on May 13th, 2019, Article 9 at the town meeting created a revolving fund, and there was an issue that was called out by the AG's office, and this article corrects the issue.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm confused, Evan. Hold on one
Sorry.
second.
Sorry about that.
In 2019,
Yep.
May of 2019,
Yep.
town meeting created this revolving fund.
Yes.
Here we
Yep.
are now in
Yep.
September of 2021, which is 2.5 years later.
Yes.
And the Attorney General is just now calling out an issue? Has the school department been operating with this revolving fund for the last 2.5 years? And is there a problem that we have? And why did the Attorney General take 2.5 years to tell us there's a problem?
So I do have a call out to find out why it took him 2.5 years to do that, because I'm curious about that myself. But the school has been operated, and just to be clear, there's no actual issue with the revolving fund. There's an issue with how we described it on this particular warrant.
But why would the Attorney General? So in May of 2019, we established a revolving fund.
Correct.
Those usually get sent and because of the Municipal Modernization Act, it's a bylaw. And all
Right.
bylaws have to go to the Attorney General.
Correct.
So in May of 2019, I'm assuming the town clerk mailed this to the Attorney General. The Attorney General has 90 days in which to get back to the town, up or down, as to whether or not the bylaw is legal.
Right.
So if I do my calculations right, that's June, July, and so by August of 2019, the Attorney General should have got back to us, right?
Yes.
But now it's September of 2021, which is more than 90 days. So how can the Attorney General come back to the town 2.5 years later with a problem with something that I'm assuming the Attorney General reviewed in 2019?
Right.
This makes no sense to me. I'm really
So I have
confused.
the letter up here.
You want to share the screen?
Well, it's only partially up. Give me 1 second to see if I can get
Barry
this.
and Gopal, we'll get to you in a second. I'm going to stop sharing for 1 second.
And just before I forget, Mary Laurie had just sent me a update saying she's having trouble with her audio, so that's why she didn't answer the question.
I thought she was ignoring me. It was very hurtful.
I know. Well, I texted her. I said, I saw Mark crying, and you really should answer when he asks.
Mark is crying because he saw what it's going to cost to send his kid to college.
That too, yeah. That's exactly why I'm crying.
Join the club.
Yeah, you're late to the
This is
party.
kid number 3, not fun.
All right, I have it up here. So let me share screen.
Was this the special ed contingency fund?
No,
Okay, so if you take a
no,
look,
the spread stabilization
Oh, whoa,
fund is
hold on a
entirely
second. So
different.
this letter, I'm sorry, Sue, I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize. So this letter is dated September 17, 2021. And now they're writing on September 17th for stuff that was voted on May 13th. The Attorney General has 90 days. Why is this coming from the Attorney General 2.5 years later? That makes no sense to me. What does the letter say?
so it basically says that the town voted to amend its general bylaws, Article 40, revolving funds, to add 2 new revolving funds. And they are a school rental revolving fund with a revenue source of rental
This
payments.
meeting is being recorded.
Okay.
So basically, we didn't call out the establishment of funds for any fees or charges or any other receipts from the departmental programs or activities supported by the revolving funds. You have to identify where they're coming from and where they're going, what the use is.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yep, which we did not do correctly according to this. And so town should, obviously, this is what every AG's office letter says, is that we should consult town council. And so council had said that in order to rectify it, we just put this article on and have it revoted.
Can I read the rest of the letter?
Can you? Oh,
Yeah, can you
absolutely.
slide down?
Sure. I can also email this to the whole board too.
Looks pretty clear to me what this is for.
Wait a minute,
but
look at this. Hold on a second. Look at this last paragraph. Lastly, the town established a new school rental revolving fund in May of 2019, but did not submit the articles for approval until September 14, 2021.
Ah.
What? Did I read that right?
Yep.
It says.
So hold on a second. So town meeting approved this and we never sent it to the Attorney General until
Well, it
September
says,
14, 2021?
right. So here's where my confusion is, because the rest of it is, it says that we did not submit Articles 6 and 7 to the Attorney General's office. So I was wondering if we missed it on our certification. And now they've come back and said, this is a problem.
No, that's not what that says.
Don't
What
think so?
that says is that Articles 6 and 7 were passed in May of 2019, and they were not submitted to the Attorney General until September 14, 2021. That's what that says. And I have to hand it to the Attorney General. The turnaround was 3 days,
Right.
and they have 90. So I'm pretty impressed with these. So I was irritated with the Attorney General at the beginning of this conversation. Now I'm irritated with the town clerk, because the town clerk should have submitted these articles in May of 2019,
Right.
not September of 2021. The school department, if they were operating assuming that those funds were done correctly, at town meeting and they were operating with those funds for the last 2.5 years, there could be a problem with the school department right now that we're going to correct with this article at town meeting.
Yep.
This is kind of, this isn't good. This is
So
bad.
we need, Mark,
Oh, I'm sorry. Who
we
said
need
Mark?
to find out. Irene did.
Hi,
Remember,
Irene.
I'm in my car.
Yep, that's
I don't
okay.
have access to the raise your hand features. I apologize. We have to take, at the moment, we are taking the Attorney General at their word that these weren't submitted till September 14th. So I think first we need to go back and find out, is there any way to find out if in fact they were submitted, but somehow were never received by the AG? So why are they suddenly going in on the 14th of this month? Maybe somebody got back to the town clerk and said, hey, we never got these, would you send them in? So we need to do a little more digging before we're annoyed with anybody.
No, Irene, I'm going to disagree with you 100% with all due respect. These were submitted to the these were submitted to the Attorney General on September 14, 2021. The Attorney General isn't going to all of a sudden say, we've been sitting on this for 3 years and we're just finally getting to it. Because they legally have 90 days to review an article once it's submitted to them. That's the law, 90 days. They have to get back to the town in 90 days with their up or down or comments or whatever, continuation or whatever they have to do. If it appears from this letter, from the Attorney General, and Evan, has the town clerk disputed this date? I assume you're speaking, this letter is to the town clerk. Has she disputed the date of September 14, 2021 of submitting it?
Nope.
So why did it take
Okay.
her 2.5 years to submit warrant article bylaws to the Attorney General?
That I don't have an answer for you at this time. I can get an
I
answer.
don't mean to be a pain in the neck here, Evan, and I apologize.
Nope, not at all. I think valid concerns. I will get a meeting tomorrow with Candy and I will have that answer for you.
Thank you. I'd like to, is that all right with the Finance Committee? Because I would really like to know that.
No, Mark, that was basically my question, was how can we find out whether or not they were originally submitted? And if not, what happened?
Okay.
I was just trying to be kind.
No, I
and give
agree
the
with you,
benefit-
Irene. You're right. You're right. You're 100% correct. All right, Evan, thank you.
All right.
Are there any other questions on this article? It's obvious we have to do it. I don't think we have a choice.
Right.
The Attorney General is telling us we have to do it.
Yep.
Okay, I'll get off my soapbox. Article 18.
All right. Still me. Okay.
Yep.
So this is my request for capital in the fall, which I understand is not something that Grafton normally does. It's something that I've done pretty consistently. However, since I've been here, there's been a number of things that have come up that I think I don't want to wait until spring to fund that. So if you could all turn or maybe go to page 12, I will give you the breakdown. That's the final page that has the little, there you go. Okay.
I read your mind.
Thank you so much. Okay. So this is a total expenditure of $146,625 that I'm requesting. The first one is for the municipal center, and this is boiler room upgrades. So we, throughout the summer, continually had to shut down our HVAC system. The HVAC system overheated. We were down for a total of 2 weeks in those 2 hottest stretches. And the reason for that is that the system is, as soon as the system gets even a little bit of contamination in it, it overheats because it's spec'd specifically for our building size. So that means that on hot days, you need 100% of your cooling capacity. And if it's running at 95% efficiency, now you're overheating. And so this money does 2 things. It adds a filter sock called a Johnson strainer into the system, which will allow us to manually clean that monthly. And then it allows us to add additional plates into the cooling system. And so the one, I want to do that when it's cool outside and we're not using the AC. But 2, we're spending roughly $8,000 a year to have this thing cleaned. And by adding the Johnson strainer, I calculate that our return on investment is 6 years to save that 50 grand.
I think it's good. Makes perfect sense.
I think so. Second one is vacant property we have on 60 Depot Street. This was something that we had tried to see if the Affordable Housing Trust had any use for. They do not have a use for it, so they've asked us to take back over the property or deal with it, and it's about 30,000 to knock it down.
Was there any asbestos or anything like that in it?
No, it doesn't appear at our initial walkthrough. I did build in a 30% contingency into the price in case we do hit asbestos. And there's a shared septic on this property. It's a pre-existing non-conforming lot, and it's really an attractive nuisance, and I'd like to knock it down before somebody burns it or breaks into it.
Would the town then turn around and try and sell that lot? Is it buildable or no?
It's not. It's
not,
we may try to do an abutter sale, but
Oh, good.
there's I don't know what the incentive is for that in this particular case, but at any rate, not great to have this vacant house in the. I think the town took it in 2018, so we've
Understood.
had it for a while.
Okay.
We are asking for another 16,625. This just makes up the difference that we would need as we're doing our Vadar switch over.
Oh, this is what you talked to us about at our last meeting.
Yep. And so basically what's happening is in the long run, it's a wash on what we're going to be funding, but in the short term, we have to fund both softwares as we do the cutover. And so this is the amount that we project will be short. The next one is, I think it's critical. You may not think that it's as critical, but I replaced the carpet as part of a project we were already doing in my office, in the building office. And when they pulled those carpets out, the undersides of them were horrendous, disgusting. I have 3 more offices where there's that carpet. And that's the planning little suite there. And then the Board of Health office. And I'd like to replace that for our staff because it was pretty gross. I think that the carpet is it's at least 40 years old by as far as we can tell.
I would agree with you that it's important.
It's gross. And I put in furniture replacements just because there's a couple old desks that if we're pulling everything out of the room, I'm not going to put the junk back in there. We'll just put new desks in.
Makes sense.
And then lastly, trying to really get a grip on our deficits in technology. We need to replace an aging firewall in the municipal center that covers all of the fiber that runs back. And so this 25,000 replaces the firewall and installs what's called an SMA device that helps with our VPN connections and our security. And that's that. Happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Any questions on the capital purchases? And Evan, that's coming out of free cash?
Correct, yes. I want to, just before we move on, I got one other clarification. I did reach out to the school department and see if they have any needs that they plan on doing before spring. And Dr. Cummings said that he did not. And I did share with him what I was planning to ask for. I wanted to make sure that we're being equitable. And he didn't have any concerns with what I was requesting.
That's awesome.
Mark,
Barry, I'm sorry, Barry has his hand up and then Sue.
Yeah, do we involve the IT committee with any of the IT modifications?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So a lot of it, so I did talk to them about the firewall and the SMA device. I went over all that with them. There's been a couple things that I've done before talking to them just because time was of the essence of things that we discovered. But I have been in regular communication and I think I've attended 2 out of their last 3 meetings.
Okay, thank you.
Sue.
I just, out of curiosity, I would just like to know from Bob Berger, when Honeywell came in to look at all of our boiler and everything else, if they had foreseen that this would be a problem and didn't try to do something to correct it then.
So I did talk to Bob about it quite at length. You've all met Bob. So we had a very long discussion about it. The idea is that it was spec'd exactly for the square footage that we have. And so what's happening is as the system ages and as contaminants get into the circulatory system, because it's this big outdoor water vat, basically, it's a cooling tower. As stuff gets in there and as the plates in it get older and everything, the capacity isn't there. So the system is built to be able to add plates if should you need to. So there is capacity for expansion. But it doesn't seem like, it seems like they spec'd it exactly for the square footage we have. And as soon as you lose any efficiency, that's when you start hitting that tipping point.
Any follow-up, Sue?
Thank you. Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Excellent. Any other questions? Evan, is that it for your articles?
No, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, no, Article 20.
Oh, so
That's the
close.
road stabilization fund.
So close. Okay. Article 20. This is just transferring the override $1,500 into the expenditure.
I mean, 1.5 million,
What did I say?
1,500.
Wow.
I don't think we get a crosswalk done for
That really
15.
went down fast, I tell you. Wow.
I think the finance committee recommends that town administrator increase it from 1,500 to.
To 1.5 million. Yeah.
All right,
That
and then
would-
Article, any questions on Article 20? That's
I
a
have a
standard
related
annual.
question.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, so I thought there was some talk about increasing it by the 2.5%. Was that for this coming fiscal year?
So no, that didn't materialize in time for this warrant. So it'll be for that conversation would impact the next round.
Okay, and that it can't be increased.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. So in theory, right, if the board, when they vote and write their letter to ask the assessors to raise this money, I guess in theory, they could do their 2% then. And then apply, and then we would just have to transfer more in May, whatever that balance is.
Okay, but the number on this warrant article can't go up. Is that one of those four corners things?
Yeah, well, that, and they don't vote to ask the assessor to raise this money on the tax rate until till November. So it's a little chicken and egg. So, we would vote the 2% and then you'd see it in the next iteration of this
Okay.
process. Does that make sense?
So is this 1.5, is this last year's money? Or is this the money that's going to be raised?
So this is last year's money. So last November, they asked them to raise it on the tax rate. It then gets put into this road improvement stabilization fund. And then we have to move it out into the improvement capital expenditures fund. And then
Okay,
we
so
put it up here.
so this number is money that's already been raised.
Right.
and then-
Yes.
Okay,
Sorry, I wasn't clear on that at the beginning. Yes, we're moving it. We've raised it already. Now we're moving it from the savings account to the checking account, so to speak.
Got it. Thanks.
Thanks, Dan. Go, Paul.
This is just a informational question. Whenever the infrastructure bill gets passed, will we see money from it for road improvement and stuff? And if we do get money, does that mean that we will not take money from the 2.5 override? Or we won't get money?
So that's twofold. So one, will we get money for the infrastructure bill? I would presume so. But there's, I think, more to come on how they would plan on rolling that out and how that money would get to us. So, if you remember the Recovery and Reinvestment Act, that was 2010 maybe, or 2012. That money kind of flowed to us, but it was this grant process, and some towns got it and some towns didn't. Sometimes it went through Mass Highway. So it depends on how that rolls out. And I don't know what they're thinking, quite honestly, of what that would look like. I don't believe you would ever want to raise less than that 1.5. Because that's what the override was for. And you don't want to, if you raise 1.3, I think that is going to pigeonhole you for for the future.
That's correct.
Mark, that's correct, right, Mark?
That's correct. Yep.
We lose it.
You
Yes.
lose it.
Yep.
That's why, if you remember, Finance Committee, when the fall town meeting last year, when we had the capital stabilization fund, the select board was trying to save the town some money by only raising 600,000 of the 800,000 that was approved in the override. And we would have lost that 200,000. And if you recall, we got up, made a motion to raise the full 800 so we wouldn't lose the ability. And that's what the town meeting ended up voting. So this works the exact same way.
Thanks.
Thank you, Gopal. Any other questions? Okay, Evan, Article 21.
Yep. So as most of, I'm sure you're all aware, we did sell 8 Pine Street. If you go by that location, you'll see they've done a lot of clearing and they're starting demo on the buildings and whatnot. And so our proceeds from that sale, partial proceeds, go into a reserve receipt for appropriation account. And the total amount is $974,296.50. And we've been thinking pretty hard about how to move that money and what that money should go for. And so the best use, we think, is to move 100,000 into the OPEB trust account, $374,296.56 into stabilization.
Does that put us over 5% of stabilization of the operating budget?
No, I think we're still shy. I can do that calculation for you quick, Mark.
Okay.
it's a
Because I
real-
think it's important that we get to the 5% of the budget in
Yeah,
the stabilization
and,
fund. Help
it's a
with your
real-
bond rating.
It's a real bummer that Mary's audio is not working, because this is when I'm supposed to say, "Hey, Mary." That's what I say. I have to look.
Listen, I
have to look at that
believe
and
me,
get back to
my
you.
line is, "Hey, Patricia," so I know exactly what you're saying.
So, because it's not on the top of my mind, to be honest with you, whether that percentage hits. And then 500,000 into the municipal capital stabilization fund. We're really trying to aggressively take care of some of our capital needs.
I think that's a good use of that $974,000.
You know, the
I
idea.
applaud you and the select board for doing that.
Thank you. You know, our idea was basically, we know we need to get money into OPEB. As unpopular or as little as we want to. We want to make sure we're saving for the rainy day and the stabilization fund, but also know that we have some capital to catch up on.
Awesome. Any questions from FinCom? Sue?
Yes, I just wanted to know, Evan, if offhand, do you know what the total is in the OPEB account?
$211,000.
211?
Yep.
That's all? All right, thank you.
Yeah. So this gets us to 311. So.
Yeah.
Angelina?
The 500,000 to the municipal capital stabilization fund, what can that be used for?
Well, we're gonna get to that, I think, or it's in the highway section. There's a potential use for that for the short term, and then in the long term, it's really we have a lot of capital needs that have gone unfulfilled and are a little behind. So equipment, some road work. There's a ton of uses, and that'll be fleshed out better with our coming capital discussions.
Can it also go to this, can any of it end up going to the school if it goes into that fund, or is that a
Yes.
separate?
No,
It can,
capital
okay.
is capital.
Capital's capital. Okay.
Yep, and we definitely work.
So
with
it'll be
the school
used
on
by to follow up on her question, so it'll be used by when the capital planning committee puts together a budget for you to consider. This 500,000 is another arrow in the quiver. Is that how you
Yep,
say it? That they can
exactly.
use to fund that stuff? All right.
Yes.
And that would include, following up on Angelina's point, that would include school capital as well.
Yep.
not just-
Absolutely.
Good question. Any other questions? All right, do you want to take Mary's Article 22? We have 3 unpaid bills.
Man, I gotta do this for Mary too. Okay. So these are just, I mean, it's, you know, actually, hey, William, there's a typo on the FinCom rec. 0.27 is twice. We could just delete that in the original copy. So there's 3 bills. One is to New England Medical Billing. Second one is also to, they're all to New England Medical No,
No, the last one's E.L. Harvey.
I'm sorry. Yep. E.L. Harvey. They're really just bills that we missed during the transition.
It happens.
I don't have any other information on it. Just missed them during the process, and we need to clean that up.
Any questions on unpaid bills? All right, I think that's all of yours. Awesome. So Peter Carlson, I apologize to keep you waiting so long. We finished the first things really quick, and then so we just jumped into Evan and let him go through his stuff. So I know you're here representing the select board, and I appreciate your time and patience with us. I'd be really mad at you if you made me wait this long. So if you want to get mad at me, feel free. But I take it you're here to talk about Article 23 and 24 and 25.
That is correct. So last night at the select board meeting, we went over and finalized 3 articles that the board wanted to personally put forward. We did decide on 2 out of the 3. So the first one that we have up here was talking about adding some additional inclusion at the members at large that the select board appoints to the Community Preservation Committee. As you know, the board has 4 at-large members that it appoints at a rotational basis. Some years there's 2 appointments, and the other subsequent years there's 1 appointment. The board, in its multiple discussions over the past few weeks, thought that after creating a new Veterans Advisory Committee, that what would be the town's appetite to codify removing one of the select board's at-large positions and substituting it for someone from veterans to serve, and they would appoint their member very much like historic does it, and the housing authority, planning board, and so on and so forth. So after some discussion last night, we narrowed our scope instead of removing 2 to 1. And therefore, we came to the consensus last night. I would say a majority of us did, all while supporting veterans inclusion. Some of the deliberation from the board felt that they wanted to hold off and have this change done at the annual town meeting. But the majority of the board said, nope, let's go forward with the way this is presented. So what this is doing here is it is taking the 4 at-large members and reducing it to 3 and converting one of them to be appointed by the Veterans Committee for a member of that board to serve. That's that.
Any questions? Any questions from the Finance Committee? Hey, Barry, has there been any public comments?
I haven't seen any.
Okay, just want to make sure. Any questions from the Finance Committee on this? It seems pretty straightforward. All right, thank you, Peter. Next is Article 24.
Yeah, so Article 24 had some general discussion last night about how to get from point A to point B. So again, the majority of the board felt that, yeah, let's go forward with this and ask the town if it wanted to reconsider changing in the elected component of the town clerk and making it an appointed position. After some discussion last night, we felt that the way that the warrant article was written really should mirror that of what was written back in 2017 for a couple of points that I brought up last night. And that is that originally the article was presented to have special legislation kind of go forward with town meeting's approval. But we don't know when special legislation is ever going to get around to signing that in both the House and the Senate and then to the governor's desk. So we felt that if the town wanted to go forward with this, that we would just go through the charter amendment process that's prescribed in our town charter, where we would bring the proposed change to the floor of town meeting. Upon town meeting ratification, then we would hold a ballot initiative at the annual town election. If it were to pass at town meeting and then go to the ballot, the town would then have to decide on that permanent charter change, and then that would go into effect. Just for your all's purpose, because one of the questions came up is like, okay, what happens with our current clerk right now, because this happens to be a re-election year. The Mass General Law was very clear about members who are a town elected that get converted to appointed will serve out the remainder of their term. So in this case, if this article gets passed at town meeting, and let's say our current town clerk decides to, go for reelection, and this passes at the ballot initiative, she would remain in that position for the remainder of the 3 years. And then it would convert at the conclusion of her term to be an appointed position by the select board.
So, Peter, we're doing this in Groton. Our town clerk is retiring, and we took the opportunity of the retirement to make it an appointed position, and the town clerk fully supports that. And so what we did through special legislation, the way that it worked, it's similar to what you're doing here with this by the charter change, is that the elected town clerk would automatically by statute become the first appointed town clerk and would remain in that position until the expiration of the term. So it works the same way. So this makes a lot of sense how you're doing it. Now, I was on the charter committee that recommended this 4 years ago, whenever we did it. And so I definitely support making this position appointed. So I'm glad the select board is bringing it forward. Barry?
Is it correct to say that whoever gets appointed to be the town clerk still has to have all of the appropriate certifications and training?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a general motivation for making this change? Why?
So last night at the board had a discussion about moving forward with this, and the majority of us felt that it was worth asking the town again under a different time. I would say that some of us have our reservations about this, but we felt that majority of us decided to just go forward with it. I would suggest that you go back and watch the select board meeting from last night to maybe get a more accurate picture. I don't want to paraphrase or misinterpret what other members may feel or why they did or said what they did last night.
Yeah, well, you can tell I have no life. I actually watched the meeting, and I still wasn't sure what was the motivation for making the change, but okay.
Can I, Peter, take a shot at explain why we're doing it and why it makes sense to make it an appointed position?
I'll be honest with you, I really have no control over that, if you want to say that, but I just keep in mind that if there are items that you feel you need to ask other board members what with their motivation, I would suggest.
I'm going to tell you why I would support. No, I'm talking about why I support.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not why you support. I'm telling you why I support. I'd like to answer Barry's question as to why I think it makes sense. The town clerk's position isn't the same as it's been in previous years. It's become a much more technical position. Election laws have changed dramatically over the last several years. There's more scrutiny on the town clerk's office. There are more open meeting laws that have to be, enforced. The town clerk is a person that you usually go to for advice on that. Public records laws and things like that. It's not the same old position where you hand out birth certificates and death certificates and marriage certificates and move on. There's a lot of technical aspects to the town clerk's job, and accountability in the town clerk's office is important. Right now, the only accountability of an elected town clerk is for either a recall or wait till the term is expired and run against that person. So if you have an instance where the town clerk fails to count ballots at an election, there is no recourse by the select board or the town administrator for the job performance. There can be no action taken against the elected official. They're elected. Unless somebody wants to go out and get 10,000 signatures and force a recall election or whatever that number is, that's the only way you can do anything about it. So to me, because it's such a technical position, and because accountability to me is important, and because you want to be able to vet the person in that position through a regular hiring process, where the town administrator makes an appointment subject to ratification by the select board, and there's a search committee, and there's interviews, and there's background checks, and there's all that sort of stuff that happens with a department head position. The only way to do that is through an election. Through an appointment. You can't do it through an election. And to me, The town clerk is just as important a department head position as the treasurer, as the accountant, as the building commissioner, as the police chief and the fire chief. It's a very important position. It should be vetted properly. There should be accountability for that position. And I think leaving it to the whim of an election for a department head position doesn't make any sense. Elected officials set policy. That's what the select board does. They set policy. That's what the planning board does. They set zoning policy. So the town clerk doesn't set policy. The town clerk is a department head that administers the laws of the Commonwealth and the bylaws of the town. They don't set policy. Why it needs to be elected, I have no idea. So to me, for those reasons, Barry, I am 100% in support of changing that position. Irene, you had your hand up.
Yeah, my original question was going to be the same one that Barry just asked, and you just gave some opinion on, which is why, especially since this was an issue that went before the voters in the relatively recent past. However, based on a couple of things that were said, I'm going to ask a different question. So Peter, can you tell me if in doing this, we are going to make explicit how the appointment will be made? Okay, in other words, will it be an appointment by the board? Does it have to be a majority vote? Will there
Right
be
here,
a
Irene.
committee? How is that
Irene, it's
going to
right here.
happen?
I can
Irene, it's
answer
right
that.
here.
I can answer that question. So by eliminating this out of the elected position component, elected officials component within the town charter, this would move to the organizational component under section 5. So the last time that we added a component, so I'm going to answer two parts of that question. Okay. So the last time we did an organizational addition was when I was chair of Charter Review Commission back in 2006. We actually codified the sewer commissioners because they were really nowhere in the town charter. And even though they served a vital role to the wastewater treatment plant and its operations. In here, we have the powers of duties outlined, which is very similar to what the powers and duties of the town clerk is today. And if you scroll down a little bit further, I believe Mr. Brassard looked up that the appointing authority would fall with the select board for this position.
No, it says right here, Peter, it says town administrator.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. We talked about that briefly last night and I still had that in my head. I stand corrected. Yep.
Did that answer your question, Irene? You're muted.
It does. I guess my question would be this. Would there, so if we wanted to a different appointment mechanism, we would have to make that change as well, correct?
So the appointment mechanism, like if I could have an example, I could probably elaborate my opinion on how that would work. But again, I would have to, I think it would be fair if you had a question, we need to come back to you. I would need to ask Evan to research that.
Okay. For example, I was thinking, what if we wanted it to be by select board? But again, I'm just asking, I'm not sure what I think yet.
Okay. So
I think I'm sorry, Peter, I think it makes sense, Irene, that it be the town administrator, because you don't want to have anybody come back and say, okay, now the person that oversees elections is being appointed by the board, by an elected board. It makes sense to have the town administrator appoint them.
Okay, that's
just
a
my
good
opinion.
response.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Barry, then Evan. Oh, Peter, I cut you off. I'm sorry. Did you have a follow-up?
I was just going to mention, I was just trying to answer, the root of the question that, depending upon, if it was select board, then you would move it under its position of appointments, and you probably wouldn't put appointment here. You would make it by bylaw or something like that. That can be, refined a little bit better. Keep in mind, I don't particularly care for super prescriptive charters where bylaws are easier to amend and easier to make changes to, Irene. But in this situation, because there's other components under that administrative organization, we just felt that it would just kind of follow along and just codify the TA, because I would agree with Mark's statement that the last thing I think you want to do is your executive board who's elected appoint the person who's overseeing elections. I think that kind of type of government, it would be regressive, in my opinion. So
I didn't think of that. Thank you.
Barry,
Does this imply that we're going to have to set a higher salary requirement for this job?
no, didn't we just raise the salary of the town clerk based on a salary survey of other town clerks, regardless of elected appointed? Didn't we just put a $10,000 increase in there last year? Somebody
I
correct
don't
me if I'm wrong.
I believe you did.
Yeah, so I don't think, Barry, I'm gonna say no. I think you've already adjusted the salary.
Okay,
Evan, did I see your hand up?
It was you answered the who should appoint because of the elected officials. So that was covered. I will say though, nope, never mind.
but if I may add one other thing,
Please, Peter.
with your permission, thank
Of
you,
course.
Mark. I will mention that Evan has instituted a study to review all key salary positions within the municipal center. Is that correct, Evan? That's still
Yes,
Underway.
including the clerk's position. Yes.
correct?
Oh, so that's a little bit with everybody else.
Yeah, so there should be some updated information, especially, doing the salary survey, which hasn't been done in, I think, over 10 years. So we're well overdue for it, not only for, even though we raised the clerk's position to 10,000 the other year, I think it was fair that we go and reevaluate everybody and bring that data to the town.
Sue Robbins.
I just want to ask you, Mark, I'm still not clear on technical aspects. Are you saying that the town clerk's office at this time is lacking in technical skills, or what?
Nope,
What do you
nope,
mean
nope. I'm
technical
saying that say Candy decides to, the current town clerk who's been doing the job for 5 years, decides to retire or move on to another position. You're not going to have the opportunity to vet a candidate to replace her if you leave it to an election. You don't know if the person has skills. It's a popularity contest.
That's,
To me, you want to go through, in my opinion, Sue, you want to go through a vetting process like you would for a building commissioner, for a treasurer, for those types of positions. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that I'm leaving the current town clerk out of this. I'm talking about the position, not the current incumbent.
I'm talking about the position as well, and I want to know what the technical aspects are. You didn't answer my question. What technically?
Enforcing election laws, following, the election laws are constantly changing, the way mail-in ballots, the way elections are run, the oversight and things like that. It's a technical position. There are rules that you have to follow, and I think you want to be able to vet the person that does that. That's my opinion. You can disagree with me. Angelina.
Does this also open the position up to people outside of Grafton by making it an
Yes.
appointed position?
Much larger pool of candidates, absolutely. There's no, you don't have a residency requirement in here, do you, Evan?
Nope.
Nope. So to answer your question, Angelina, yes. Dan?
So my view on it is it seems to me like town clerk is more of a professional role than the other elected roles that we have in town. It seems a lot more like something like town administrator, superintendent, principal, department head. It just makes more sense to me that this would be one of those roles that is filled by doing, putting out a job posting, taking applications, doing interviews, having someone like the select board or the town administrator putting in that more systematic and deeper review than the kind of review that you get with an election. So I think for the same reason that we don't elect the town administrator, I think this is a better one to do appointed.
Thank you, Dan. Go, Paul.
I agree with everything that has been said. My question is, are there other positions in the town that need to be reviewed to see if it needs to meet a higher standards of qualifications? Rather than going up at this piecemeal, are there other positions that need a review saying these positions previously were elected, officials, but now knowing what we know, these need higher qualifications, higher bar.
I think this is the, Evan, correct me if I'm wrong, I think this is the last department head position that's elected in town. All other are appointed, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Dan?
And this is also the only full-time elected position we have. And town clerk and town moderator are the only two elected positions that are not committee members or board members. All the rest are members of a multiple member body. So I think those are two important distinctions with this.
Excellent point. Anything else? Town meeting should be fun having this debate. Peter, Article 25, is this from the board or no, this is the Affordable Housing Trust?
That would be from the, Affordable Housing Trust, and I've spoken to Mr. Spinney, and I guess he's attending your meeting tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. Is there another article, Peter, that you had?
No, not at this time.
Article 19 is submitted by the select board as well.
Oh.
It's the changing of the town meeting time.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, God, I thought there was 3, but I just, because we talked about 3 last night, I apologize.
I wasn't going to let you off the hook. Don't worry about it.
Thank you. Thank God you're here, Evan. So Article 19 is to talk about changing the date of town meeting, moving it from Monday and moving it to the Saturday for both the fall and the May annual and semi-annual town meetings, and also to begin the sessions at 10:30 in the morning. Basically, we were looking to see if the town would want to consider moving this. I know this has been discussed in the past, but I believe this is the first time that the town, in my recollection, can consider moving the town meeting date and time from a Monday to a Saturday. And because this is a bylaw, we are beholden to have it on the Mondays that are prescribed in the current bylaw.
So because you're hamstrung by the bylaw now, why wouldn't you make the bylaw more flexible and leave it up to the select board to pick the date? So you have a default date that says the spring session shall be the second Saturday in May of each year. So that's the default date, or any other date in May or June or April chosen by the select board after adequate public notice. So that you're not, because right now, the select board has no flexibility whatsoever to change the date. So, you were able to change the date last year because of the pandemic. There was an emergency declaration, and they gave the board the authority to do certain things. Now you're basically taking our current bylaw, and instead of saying the second Monday in May, you're saying the second Saturday in May. Why don't you say, the Saturday in May, but make it flexible so that the board has the ability through the bylaw to pick a different date with adequate public notice, but the default date would always be that second Saturday in May or second Monday in May, whatever those dates are. Was there any discussion or any thought given to that?
No, there wasn't. This was just our first pass at looking at changing the date to accommodate people for the majority, I should say, not for everybody, obviously, but a non-working day for them. I understand people may work Saturdays or work other shifts on other days of the week. So don't think this would fix that issue for participation. I like your idea about keeping it as broad, but keeping it like maybe in the months. I think the challenge is determining when to open and close the warrant. You would have to determine that date well in advance. So we would have had to decide on the October meeting date and time months ago in order to give everyone ample notice of when we're opening and closing the warrant, because we are prescribed, I believe it was, how many days, Evan, before we have to close it?
14
days. So, I mean, not that that's, not impossible to deal with, but I think that would be something else that we would have to contend with.
Irene?
Check with town council. This bylaw may in fact be subject to limitations from state law. And state law may prescribe that we have to set a date or day. I could be wrong, I don't know. So I think that question.
What I'm saying to you here is you have the default date would be the second Saturday in May, or another date within May or April or June, chosen by the select board with adequate public notice to address what Peter's saying in terms of you have so many days before you can open and close the warrant.
Right, but
That's
like,
what I'm
I would
saying.
run, we have to run that by town council. I'm just.
That's what I'm
concerned-
telling you, that's what the Groton bylaw says. It's a legal bylaw.
Oh, it does? Okay, so then it's legal. That was my concern, was whether or not it was legal to do that. Okay, if you guys are doing it, then I'm going to assume it was vetted and that that's a possibility. Okay.
Yeah, the town clerk sent it to the attorney general and the attorney general approved it within 90 days after the town meeting. I'm sorry, I'm just being sarcastic. Forgive me for my sarcasm.
No, that's okay.
Anything else on this article, Peter?
No, not really. I mean, this was just to move it from those Mondays and move it to a Saturday.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Peter. I
I wanna-
appreciate your time and I apologize for keeping you late.
Oh, don't apologize. It's my pleasure. I just want to thank all of you for doing great work and reviewing these articles. I enjoyed your questions and I like the questions that you asked Mark. I'm sorry, you asked Evan earlier. Please keep up the good work. And if there's anything else that myself or the board can do for you, please just let us know.
Absolutely will. Angelina.
Is that something that you would be willing to go back to the board with, Peter, about like making it a little more open-ended? Like the Groton bylaw is? It seems like it would be
I think it's
better to have more options.
I would agree with you. I would like to explore that opportunity with the board. We may come with an amendment at town meeting floor. I would have to work out the particulars with Evan and town council to make sure that if that is something that the board wishes to do, then yeah, we can come back and follow up with a memo to the finance committee if that is something they wish to do. And I'll put this on the agenda for October 5th. So we'll talk about it sooner rather than later.
Dan?
I just want to mention there's something in the charter that on the talking about the warrant articles that it's in section 2-8 paragraph C. It says the select board shall include on the warrant for a regular town meeting the subject matter of all petitions received by it 45 days or more prior to the date fixed by bylaw for the town meeting to convene. So it sounds like that part of the charter is assuming there will be a date fixed by bylaw. I don't know if that actually has any implications for how we can word the bylaw, but that specific question, I think, we should get that answered by town council.
If I may, Mr. Haddad, that was going
please.
to be my intention and follow up with Evan this week because I do know that there are some charter provisions that outline town meeting with dates and times, but it is in the bylaw where it sets the day of the month. Yeah, we will look at that and whatever opinion that town council comes back with, I'll be sure to make sure we share that with you, the finance committee, as well as the board.
Thanks.
Evan, did you have your hand up?
I did. I didn't know this part of the conversation was going to continue. I have numbers from previously asked questions, so I'll wait.
Okay. Anything else with Peter? Again, Peter, thank you so much for your time and explanations. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Have a great night, everybody. Take care.
All right, Evan, the floor is yours.
Okay, sorry, I didn't recognize the other hands were up when I had put mine up before. So our stabilization balance is 3.9 million, which puts us over that 5% already.
Perfect.
Plus this will get us up to 4.4-ish.
I think the more you have in there, the better.
Yeah, I did a lot of work while you guys were doing other things to figure that out. Reading my
Mary
text.
sent you a text.
She did. Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else?
Not from me. No, thank you.
Okay, Angelina?
So the stabilization you said is already over the 5%, or will be with this additional money?
It is. So if you figure in the budget of 67.5 million, our 3.9 puts us over the 5%. So.
And can you just explain what the reasoning is for putting it in there versus putting it towards capital?
So one, I try to spread it around. I'm always looking to grow stabilization over time. I mean, there's obviously a limit where you don't want to go over, but one, it helps us to be able to absorb financial impacts that are unforeseen or downturns in the market or what have you. But it also helps with our bond rating if we're above our policy's minimum and under our policy's maximum. So I'd like to get us closer to, seven. I think where we want to be is 7%, right around there, is a healthy number for us to have a little bit of cushion. And whenever we have to go out and borrow money and we get rated again, it just puts us in a better position.
So 7% is a really good place to be. 5% is kind of the bare minimum. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we want to be over 5%. I think I'd have to pull our policy back out. I don't have it top of mind, but I believe we're between 5 and 10% we're trying to be. So you figure 7 is a good middle ground. It doesn't mean we would stop putting money in there. But we could.
Well, I know that there's a lot of capital needs as well. So that's why I was asking why you're prioritizing that.
Yeah, it's just kind of spreading it out. We have competing needs, long-term savings, so to speak, OPEB and capital. So just kind of spreading it around. There should be more money coming in from that particular project that we'll be able to transfer, as well as 2017-27 Upton. We'd have money from that too. So likely do some kind of spread on that as well.
Anything else? So we do have the opportunity tonight, if we want, we have it on the agenda that we can take positions on articles that we covered tonight, if the finance committee is so inclined to do that. Would you like to at least go through the articles we covered tonight and decide whether or not we want to take positions? Is that okay with the FinCom?
That's fine with me.
Everybody good with that? All right, so Article 1 is the donation of 101 Pine Street. Would the Finance Committee like to take a position on that?
I move we
You want
recommend.
motions?
Yes.
Okay, then I would make a motion that the Finance Committee recommend passage of Article 1 as written.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor by roll call, Barry,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Andy?
Aye.
Angelina,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Irene? Irene?
Aye.
Go, Paul.
Aye.
Mark, aye. The next one that we covered was Article 6. And that was the Follett Street Well project. I think we wanted some more information on that. So should we hold off on that one? Evan, you're going to get us an explanation as to how that's being done?
Yeah.
Can we do 2 and 3?
Oh, we did. Thank you, Angelina. I'm sorry. We did do 2 and 3. Forgive me. I'd entertain a motion to support Article 2 as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Barry.
Is there a way to modify the recommendation saying, look, this is not going to cost the town any money?
So we can put in our recommendation here, William, if you would, that the Finance Committee recommends passage is there's no financial impact to the town. Something like that. Is that what you're asking for, Barry?
Yes.
I think that makes perfect sense. I think we should do that in Article 1 too, as well. Okay, so there was a motion. Was there a second? There
Yes, I
wasn't. That was,
seconded.
Barry was under discussion. Any further discussion? All those in favor by roll call, Barry,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye.
Angelina,
Aye.
Dan.
Aye.
Irene,
Aye.
go Paul.
Aye.
Mark, aye. Article 3, I'd entertain a motion to accept Article 3 as presented. Recommend Article 3 is presented, rather.
So moved.
There a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Oh, Barry, go ahead. You want the same thing here?
Same idea that there's no charge and we're not losing any property taxes or anything like that.
William, you take care of that for us, sir? Thank you, sir. Any further discussion? All those in favor, Barry,
All right.
Sue,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye.
Angelina,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Irene,
Aye.
Gopal,
Aye.
Mark, I declare that unanimous. Thank you for telling me I skipped articles. Article 6, so we'll bring that one back tomorrow. That's all right with everybody? Evan's gonna get us some more information on that. Okay, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I want more information on this one. I'm sorry, Evan, this one's really upsetting me.
No, I'll get it for you. I'll meet with Candy tomorrow and I'll bring that back to you for tomorrow night.
Is the finance committee all right if we bring that one back tomorrow night?
Yes.
Yes, and I just wanted to ask you, Mark, I was asked why we have to vote on this. I don't know why the question was, but
Good question.
is this a change in an amendment? I guess I don't understand how we're changing this in the motion. What does the motion read?
Yeah, we didn't provide you with the motion. That's something I can do for tomorrow as well, if you want to skip over that.
All right. Okay,
If
that's a good
if
question.
that- if
I
that-
see
if that helps.
Amy Marr has her hand raised. I'm gonna allow her to talk. Amy, go ahead.
Hi, everybody. I was the one that asked that question. I don't understand why this is something that has to go through town meeting. This seems like an administrative error that could be done. I mean, we talked about what the programs and activities would be used for at the meeting. And I did talk to Dr. Cummings about this, and he seemed to think that this wasn't going to be on the warrant. So I think we have a little confusion with this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. All right, so we'll talk, Evan, you'll bring us back more information tomorrow and we'll discuss it then.
Sure.
I appreciate that. Article 18 is the capital budget that Evan's presenting in the amount of 146,625. I'd entertain a motion to support this article as presented or recommend this article as presented.
All moved.
Is there a
Second.
second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor by roll call, Barry,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye.
Angelina,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Irene,
Aye.
Gopal,
Aye.
Mark, I declare that a unanimous vote. Article 19. This is the one that changes the town meeting to Saturday. The select board may look into making it more flexible, but I don't see an issue with changing the date to a Saturday. I think we've done pretty much the last 3 town meetings have been on a Saturday, right?
Right.
Because of the pandemic, and it seems to work pretty well. So would anybody like to recommend support of this as
I
presented?
move we recommend Article 19 as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, can we amend that to say only if it's warm, like 70 and no wind?
And we can have it outside?
Yes, I like that.
Can town meeting legislate the weather?
You know, Dan, that's a good question. Let's ask town council to investigate that and see if we can. Any further discussion? All those in favor, by roll call, Barry,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye.
Angelina,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Irene,
Aye.
Gopal,
Aye.
Mark, I, unanimous. Article 20, the road stabilization, 1.5 million. I entertain a motion to recommend that as presented.
So moved.
There's a second.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, can you scroll that up a little?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do we need an explanation a little more elaborate on this?
So if you recall, we will have explanations on every article like we did
Okay.
in the spring.
There'll be a summary.
Yep, I usually put it in layman's terms under each one to just help public that doesn't do government all the time understand what they're looking at.
Okay, in the words of Rosanna Data, never mind.
Any further discussion? All those in favor by roll call signify by saying aye. Barry,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Andy.
Aye.
Angelina.
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Irene.
Aye.
Gopal,
Aye.
Mark, aye. Article 21, that's taking the 974 and putting it into the various accounts, the stabilization, the OPEB, and the municipal capital stabilization. I'd entertain a motion to recommend that as presented.
So moved.
Is there a second? Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor by roll call? Barry,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye.
Angelina,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Irene,
Aye.
Gopal,
Aye.
Mark, aye, unanimous. Article 22, which are unpaid bills. I entertain a motion to support that in the amount of 3483.27.
So moved.
There's a second.
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 All those in favor by roll call? Barry,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye.
Angelina,
Aye.
Dan,
Aye.
Irene,
Aye.
Gopal,
Aye.
Mark, aye. Article 23, the community preservation to change one of the appointed positions to the Veterans Affairs Committee. Is there anybody wanting to make a recommendation on that?
So moved.
There a second?
Second.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I think
Barry.
it would help if there was a little chart, a little like, what do you call it? Org chart. It shows what it is now and what you're going to, and instead of all of the text in there, or in addition to it. Just a suggestion.
Let's hold off. Let's hold off on taking a position on this article. I just got a text. The CPC wants to come in and talk to us about this article tomorrow. So we may. Go ahead.
I'll rescind my motion.
Okay. I think that makes sense because they are coming in for a couple of articles anyway, right? So they should
Yes.
have the opportunity to talk to us about this one tomorrow night. So we'll come back to Article 23 if that's all right.
Yep.
All right. Article 24, making the town clerk appointed. Am I allowed to make motions, Sue? Biacco?
Yeah.
I make a
Yes.
motion that the Finance Committee supports Article 24 as presented.
Second.
Oh, boy.
Is there any further discussion?
I'm really torn on this. I went online to see the pros and cons other towns have had about this position. There are pros and cons to both elected and appointed. I guess what bothers me the most is that we're losing a connection with the community if we go outside of town. And also, I'm a big component of not taking the power away from people. And that's what we're going to be doing when we put this. There have been past town administrators that I've experienced that have, and not just one, but several who have nepotism and cronyism in their, and I think the town clerk needs to be neutral. So I have a hard time supporting this. 95% of the town clerk's job is state statutes. And so the association makes sure the town clerks are provided training and everything else. So I just can't do this because I really think the town clerk should be representative from our town. That's just my opinion.
Thank you, Sue. I think that was a very articulate position. I appreciate your position on that. Angelina?
I feel like the people in the town don't have any way to vet the person who wants that job and whether or not they can actually do it and they're qualified for it. Like once I heard exactly what the town clerk position was, it made no sense to me that it was ever an elected position. Like, it seems like it should be something that's an actual hired position. But that's just my opinion.
Thank you. Irene?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Sue on this one. I'm somewhat torn. You know, part of me likes the idea that, yes, the town clerk is always going to be somebody in town. But then again, do you limit, you know, the pool of candidates? Angelina, just to your question, I'll come down kind of, I guess, on the side of having it elected. They do have the debates. The candidates do present themselves, and they have a, you know, if you're paying enough attention, you have a chance to find out. You get to see their resumes. You get to hear. You can actually go and ask questions if you can attend one of the debates or one of the forums, the town halls, where they get to present themselves. So that option is available. And I know that it was a big factor when this, in the last election, the last time that Candy was elected, because there were only 2 people running. I'm torn because we get such low participation in the elections for the most part. So yeah, Sue, I'm with you. I'm really, I'm torn. I'm not sure how I feel about this.
Can I offer an opinion? May I? The vetting part that Angelina talks about, I think, is really, really important. You want to be able to interview, vet, background checks, things like that, reference checks that you can't do with during an election. But I think what really makes me want this position to become appointed is accountability of the position. If you have a building commissioner who is not doing his job and not inspecting buildings properly, town administrator, the answers to the town administrator can take action to fix that. There's accountability to somebody. If the town clerk doesn't count ballots at an election, doesn't send bylaws to the attorney general for approval, the only way that the town can do anything about that is either recall the person or wait 2 years, 3 years, or whatever, a year for the next election and have somebody run against that person. There's no accountability for job performance. There's no accountability for job performance in that position by having it elected. And I really think that the accountability piece is crucial. And that's why I think we need to make that position appointed. It is a department head position, as Dan pointed out earlier. It is a full-time department head position. And I think accountability is important. Irene, you still have your hand up. Did you have a follow-up point you want to make?
Yes, I want to counter what you just said as far as accountability goes.
Yep.
I'm with Susan on, you know, right now, I think we feel like we've got a TA who I would trust implicitly to make a good appointment to town clerk. We've had, you know, a couple of TAs in the past that we didn't necessarily trust, and that was why a large part, I believe, okay, I'm assuming to some extent here, why people voted to keep it elected versus have it appointed. So you don't know at any given time who's going to be your TA. As for the accountability, let's say that we did have a case of cronyism, nepotism, and the TA has installed a less than stellar candidate as town clerk, and they're not doing a great job, and the TA doesn't fire them. So I'm correct me if I'm wrong, I would believe that the select board is not able to force the TA to do so.
No, but to follow up on your point, you know, you can make the same argument on cronyism and appointment for every other department head that the town administrator appoints. The town administrator appoints the treasurer, the collector, the finance director, the building commissioner, the planner, the police chief, the conservation agent. The town administrator is appointing all of those positions, and they're all subject to ratification by the select board. That's the check and balance on the town administrator's authority. You can have an idiot like me as the town administrator, and you may not like what I do. And if I don't do my job, I answer to 5 elected select board members. And those members can say, hey, you're not doing your job managing your department heads. The town clerk, to me, is a department head similar to every other department head in town. It doesn't set policy. I don't know why it's elected. That's my counter to you and Sue on that particular point. And I respect I respect both your opposition. I really do.
So follow-up question on that. Are all of these department heads appointed at the, and serve at the will of the town administrator, or are they on contracts for set periods of time and that have to be
It
renewed?
depends on what the law in Massachusetts allows for contracts for certain department head positions. It allows for a contract for the town administrator, it allows for a contract for the town accountant, it allows for the assessor, it allows for the treasurer, it allows for the library director. So state law, police chief and fire chief. So the state law allows for that. Other positions, other department head positions, unless they're protected by a union contract, they're unionized. Some department heads are in unions. They are at the will of the town administrator, subject to the personnel bylaw. So there are checks and balances in there to protect the employees so that, a new town administrator comes in. Like when Evan came in, Evan did not come in and fire all of the department heads.
Right. Okay.
He may have wanted to, but he didn't. No, I'm joking, Evan. He didn't. So the town administrator is not going to all of a sudden willy-nilly come in and start axing people and doing stuff like that. He's going to learn he or she's going to learn their people, and they're going to make those determinations, and they're going to try to figure out how to make sure that the town gets the most bang for the buck with those department heads. But the town clerk is like every other department head. Go, Paul.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see where that argument would end, that positions which are elected by the citizens of the town may not meet the same high standard as a position that is selected through interviews. Because the select board, should we do the same thing with the select board? Because select board has tons of responsibilities. Are we saying that they, you know what? There could be cronyism, there could be popularity contest for select board elections, and that it should be a interview process for select board. Where does it stop?
No, because the select board, Gopal, my point earlier was that the select board sets policy. And you want to be able to elect it. Huh?
They have a lot of power.
Absolutely do, but that's why there's 5 of them and not 1 of them. It takes 3 of them to do anything. So to me, you have a policy setting board like the select board in place to do this. The town clerk doesn't set policy. The town clerk, it's an administrative job, like the town treasurer, like the accountant. It should be subject to vetting. It should be subject to job performance reviews. It should be subject to discipline if necessary. It should be subject to praise and strong performance reviews. Like our town administrator just got, would you get a 97 out of 100 or whatever you got? Great review. So it should be subject to that kind of vetting and that kind of review, in my opinion. Dan.
So my view on the distinction there is that the select board is a political position. They're being elected to represent the values and the positions that the voters agree with, and I don't think that's the same for town clerk. Town clerk is it's a role that requires qualifications and training that really has to do with the technical aspects of the job. The evaluating that kind of stuff is much better done in a systematic way and in more depth than voters typically do. That's why we don't elect our town administrator. That's why we don't elect our superintendent. And I think town clerk makes a lot more sense in that bucket than in the bucket of the select board and the school committee and the town moderator. I think those are really different from town clerk in that important way.
Go ahead, Angelina. Angelina, you're muted.
Sorry. Amy just said in the chat that it's a full-time position. And like we were saying before, it's the only full-time position that is an elected position at this point. And really, doesn't seem to fit into that bucket, like what Dan was saying.
Yeah, and in a really good point to follow up all of that is, the election process could put us at risk with an unqualified individual in that position. And there's a really high bar to remove that person. Huge high bar. Go ahead, Dan.
So a couple other points. Following up on that one, if we get, a couple not really qualified people who running for town clerk elected, those are the people we have to pick from, and one of them is going to win. If it's appointed and we don't get a single qualified applicant among the applicants, or just the select board determines that they, for whatever reason, the applicants they got, they don't like, they can extend their search. They can try increasing the salary. They don't have to pick one of those people. With the election, if there's at least one name on the ballot, we're going to get at least one of those people. If there's no name on the ballot, we're going to get a write-in, which I think is even
more
scarier.
dangerous. Yes, I agree.
Someone's
Dan,
going to
just
win
one
with like
correction.
100 votes.
Just one correction. It's a town administrator appointment subject to ratification by the select board.
Right.
Angelina?
What is the salary for the position for
I
the
believe
town?
it's 72,000.
So you can run to get a $72,000 year job for 3 years? That doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. It doesn't, to me, it conceptually makes no sense whatsoever that you could get elected to a position in a town and make that much money and maybe not even be qualified at all, because we don't, I don't know, the whole thing is bizarre to me.
Dan?
So yeah, in some cities, city council and mayor, those are in larger cities, those are like full-time, full salary positions. But yeah, to me, it doesn't make sense for this to be the one full-time salaried professional position in town that is elected. The one point in the other direction that I think makes some sense is that this is the position that oversees the elections, and that would make it different from other currently appointed professional roles. But I think that doesn't, I feel like that can be used, to justify either side of the argument.
Yeah, think about it.
Isn't that a conflict?
Well, yeah, the elected town clerk running for re-election
Right,
oversees the
is in
election
charge
in
of
which
the
they're getting
election?
elected.
No,
Correct.
they don't oversee their own election. That actually, I remember this coming up in one of the previous elections for town clerk. A different town's clerk will tally the votes for the town clerk race. So they do each other's elections. They don't do their own elections.
We have a comment in the chat that says, even if someone wants to mount a recall procedure, all the clerk has to do is not certify the petition. That's a very good point. That's a really good point.
That's
thank you for
scary.
that, Amy.
That's really
I hadn't thought of that.
Oh, actually, that's from Greg, not Amy. So that's funny. I know. I agree, Sue. We've debated this a lot. I think I'm going to cut off debate here and move to a vote. All those in favor of the motion to support this article as Article 24 is presented, signify by saying aye by roll call. Dan?
Aye.
Angelina?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Irene? Irene, you're muted.
Aye, you've all convinced me.
Barry?
Aye.
Sue?
Nay.
Andy?
Aye.
Mark? Aye. So Sue, that vote is 7 in favor, 1 opposed. Thank you. I got to tell you, that was a great debate. I like it. Good job, everybody. Great debate. And then that's it. Okay, so tomorrow night we'll be meeting with the CPC. We'll be meeting with the Highway DPW Director, and we'll be meeting with the Affordable Housing Trust on their articles. So left on our agenda tonight Oh, that said, I would entertain a motion to continue the public hearing to tomorrow at, Sue, 7?
Yes.
Is there a
7 o'clock.
motion? 7 o'clock. Is there a motion? Is there a second?
Second,
Any further discussion? All those in favor by roll call, Dan,
Aye.
Angelina,
Aye.
Gopal,
Aye.
Irene,
aye.
Barry,
Aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye.
Mark, aye. All right, Evan,
Yeah,
the town meeting logistics is gonna be on the 13th,
correct,
7 o'clock,
correct.
Zoom or in person?
I believe it's set up for Zoom.
Zoom, okay? So I think I saw most of us can make that meeting.
Yep.
Okay.
And Conference A, I think, Evan.
What's that?
I think it's and Conference A hybrid. Has
Oh,
that changed?
no. Okay,
All
Is
right.
it hybrid?
that means I gotta be in person.
Oh,
Uh,
we like having you in person, Evan. So the process for printing, the fall town meeting, the select board has to have, it's gonna be Monday, the 18th, 7:30 at the at the high school auditorium.
Yes,
Will mask be required?
yes,
Okay. That's good. So that's confirmed. So the review the process of printing, posting, and distributing the warrant, we're gonna do like we've done in the past.
we met with Sue, and Sue, I don't want to speak on your behalf, but William is going to handle the posting of the warrant, the printing of the warrant.
Excellent. Gopal, did you have a question relative to that?
Yeah, I can't seem to dig up the email. What did we decide on Friday? Are we having this meeting or are we going to be done by tomorrow?
You mean Monday?
I thought it was October.
Fourth.
Monday? Okay,
October 4th.
Yeah,
we're not gonna, we're gonna wrap everything up tomorrow night. So
Okay.
we're not gonna need to meet Monday. We're gonna cancel the public hearing on Monday. I think we can get through tomorrow night, all right, don't you? Does everybody agree? Dan?
So a moment ago, did we say tomorrow is hybrid in room A?
No. The logistics meeting on the 13th.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
No,
got it.
tomorrow we are on Zoom for the continuation of this public hearing.
Okay, cool.
Sorry for the confusion. Okay, thank you, William, for doing that. So Sue doesn't have to drive in from New York? You wanted to though, didn't you? So yeah, I can see it.
I got to meet Sue, I got to meet Sue in person the other day. That was nice.
It was my pleasure, Evan and William.
So now we got the update on the Finance Committee Assistant job posting, Evan. Where are we with that?
So I have a pool of applicants. We just have to start interviewing and choose somebody.
So do you want anybody from this committee to help you?
That's one of the things that I wanted to ask tonight, if someone would be willing to.
I'd like
Okay.
to, is it all right with the FinCom if I do that? We can have, Evan, can we have more than one member?
Is one of the other members Barry?
I see Barry's hand
I
up.
would like
Yes.
to be part of it. I would like to be part of it.
Yeah.
Can we have a couple of members?
Oh, you can, yeah, I'm open to whatever you want to do.
All right, so Sue, Barry, me, is that all right with the rest of the FinCom? All right, you'll let us know when you're ready to enter. I take it Bruce is gonna participate too?
I believe so. I
Okay.
gotta reach out and just close that loop with him, but it's been posted, I think 3 weeks now, so,
How many applicants you have?
14, I think.
Oh, that's a good
Wow.
response.
Yeah.
Do they realize the shoes they're filling?
No, I didn't want to tell him that in the ad. No one would have applied.
All right, so you'll get back to us and let us know when we're gonna be,
I
Doing
will, yeah,
that.
I'm thinking not next week, the following week.
Okay.
I'm wrapping up some library stuff and it's absolutely crazy right now.
nope,
So-
understood. So discussion of the management of the Finance Committee records, what's that about?
That's
Sue?
yours.
That's
Evan?
mine?
Sure, if you'd like. Yes, please.
What, sorry, Mark, what was it again?
Discussion of the management of Finance Committee records with Town Administrator Evan Broussard.
Oh, Sue, what am I talking about?
I didn't know how to
I don't
word
mean
it.
to laugh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm confused by the wording, I think.
Yes, I didn't know exactly how to put it on in an agenda. It, relative to the backlog of, past.
Oh, minutes, yes. Thank you for clarifying that, because I was definitely lost. So
Thank
the finance committee has a backlog of minutes that needs to be generated and cleared up. And when Sue and I had met, we had discussed hiring the new person who will take minutes moving forward, but then also budgeting to allow Sue to remain on and clear that backlog of minutes.
We have a backlog? How many minutes, Sue? I thought we were all caught up.
Oh, no, we are back. 2005 is back to about 1995. Not all of them, but several of them.
Really?
Yes.
Ooh.
Yep. So we are basically
all meetings, like since that time, we're all up to date, right? Because
absolutely.
okay, thank you.
Mark?
Go ahead, Sue.
When I attended one of the open meeting laws several years ago at the police station, we asked our town council, what exactly do we do about these minutes? Because most of them, I was probably the only one that was still on the board for those minutes. And she said we didn't have to approve them because, and I would check with town council again, because I don't think we have to approve them.
I mean,
Because
they're
so old.
2005. I mean, who remembers
That's correct.
what took place, and how can we approve minutes that we didn't participate in?
Correct. And that's why town council said that we didn't have to worry about that. We didn't have to do it.
Evan, I'd like ask you to, if Sue's right, I think what Sue's saying makes perfect sense.
Okay, I will follow up.
I think we could just keep Sue on period and not have a reason, just do it.
Right.
I'm good with
I'm
that.
all for it. I'm all
Dan,
for it.
Dan,
I'm confused at how we could possibly produce minutes. I mean, this was before we were recording the meetings, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so I don't understand how that could possibly be done.
There are notes, correct, Sue?
Oh.
Yeah, there are notes for every meeting. Even
they
now.
just weren't transcribed into minutes.
Correct.
Yeah, we've been.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, we haven't been recording that long, Dan. There's always a paper trail still.
Can't those notes just be the minutes?
I think we need to talk to town council, and my interpretation, Sue, was differently. I thought, and I wish Mary was on her audio. I believe that one of the interpretations was that the minutes had to be approved. They didn't have to be in detail. Basically, it was the gist of the meetings, the agenda, and I believe attendance.
I'm only telling you, Sue, what the town council told us at that open law meeting session we had, and that's what she told.
Let's just find out. We'll find out.
I'm happy to follow up.
Thank you.
Thank you, Evan. Barry.
Are the notes handwritten or are they typed?
Handwritten.
Barry, you
Well, if
volunteering to
can
type them up?
copy a bunch of them, shoot them down to me. I'll take a whack at it.
Well, let's find out
No
from
charge.
if we even have to do it. I don't think we do.
All right, I'll tell you what. Let's have Evan find out if Sue's right. And if Sue's right, great. We're not going to do anything. If Sue's wrong and we have to produce the minutes, I move that Barry type all the minutes. Thank you, Barry.
Barry said this, Barry said that. Barry is...
God, I can see these being whitewashed. That's awesome. Okay, so looking at the rest of the agenda, let's see. So the Finance Committee, we have a Zoom webinars. Oh, why are we meeting on the 21st and the 28th and the 4th?
Those are the attendance at the association meeting. The
annual. Who's going to that? Irene's going, Barry's going, Angelina's going. Who else? Andy, you going?
Sue's
going.
Yep.
So did we pay the bill for that? Do we need to approve the bill for that for everybody?
Is Andy going?
No.
Andy better go.
Is that a yes or a no?
Wait, which one? Now I'm getting confused as to which one we're talking about.
This is the annual meeting of the Association of Town Finance Committees in a webinar form over 3 evenings.
Yeah, yes, I'll attend.
Okay.
Can
I'm not.
anybody imagine anything more fun than a webinar about finance committee over 3 nights?
That's why you don't see Mark Haddad signed up for that. Irene, did you have a question?
I did, but it's unrelated to that.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my question was this. I just had a question on the consent agenda. So I love the consent agenda idea. I'm just wondering about making 16 or 17 articles a single consent. And I would have suggested breaking it up into 3 or 4 packages of similar things. That's all. And I don't know.
That's what we did. That's what we did last spring. The first
Yeah.
time we did the consent agenda, we had 3. We divided them into financial,
Right.
and we had land or whatever we did with those. So yeah, Evan, that's something you could think about if you want to break it up into 3 different consents.
We had gone back and forth on doing it that way versus doing it as one chunk. And this is just the way that conversation settled out.
Yeah, but my reason is, number one, I like the idea of having it in smaller chunks. I also think from public perception that it looks a little bit too much like we're rushing through things. You know, what are we trying to hide? You know, I heard kind of, you know, just a little bit of maybe murmurings about that.
Yeah, but nothing prevents, Irene, nothing prevents anybody from using that wonderful word hold.
Oh, I agree. I absolutely agree. But I'm just, you know, perception does matter.
Yep.
And I also feel like, even aside from the perception or the hiding things, the goal of town meeting is not to get it done quickly. Though the goal of town meeting should also not be to drag it out as long as possible.
You know, Irene, that depends on who you ask. Ask Evan or Mark what our opinion is, and we'll say quickly.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for you, Evan. I'm just.
No, I'm there. I'm right there with you.
Yeah. So anyway, you know, so again, the idea of town meeting is not to get things done as quickly as possible. It's to make sure that we are making, you know, good decisions for the town. And I just feel that when you make, you know, you put 17 articles into a single consent agenda, up or down, okay, you take away from that spirit of town meeting. And I'll just leave it at that. Those are just my thoughts. It's not something we're going to vote on, but I was uncomfortable with 17 articles as a single up or down.
Understood, Dan.
Yeah, I guess I just think it's because anyone can hold any of them, any or all of them. I don't really see anything being taken away. And anyone who would say that they think we're hiding something, you know, hasn't done the minimal amount of work to understand what this actually is. And they would probably say that no matter what we did. They would probably say that if we didn't do a consent agenda at all. And people do say that and have been saying that for years. So I think it doesn't get things done quicker at the expense of anything, really. It gets things done that typically don't get any debate and that we're not expecting any debate for. And if somebody wants to have some discussion and give an opinion on something, they can say hold, and they can pull it out of there, and we end up with the same discussion that we would have had otherwise. So I don't really see anything being lost from the process.
Excellent points. Barry.
I'll say it again. I think we don't give the meeting attendees enough time to read the documents, because the very first time that they see the warrant articles is when they show their ID, they get their little thing, and they get their piece of paper, they come into the meeting. Then they start reading it through. I don't think we can expect them, with all of the busy things that they have, to put the town meeting high on their agenda. I don't think we can expect them to have read everything, listened to Facebook or whatever. But that's my 2 cents.
Evan,
I want to watch Barry listen to Facebook. No, I'm just kidding.
Tucker Budson.
So, I mean, the intent here is not obviously to even to make it as quickly as possible. Realistically, what we try to do is look at articles that we think are going to be as non-controversial as most of them are at a town meeting. Accepting little pieces of land or, moving money in a really traditional or benign way in order for us to fund government and take action. And then we pull out the things that we think probably are gonna really have the most conversation. So capital articles, bylaw changes, the moving of money from 8 Pine, we didn't feel comfortable putting in there. So we did spend a lot of time discussing what is and is not. And a lot of it's just based on your gut of what you feel is acceptable
and your
to put before the
town
town.
meeting. And your
Right.
experience at town meeting.
And experience at town meeting, and also to get people through the more mundane practices of government into the things that probably are going to have a larger impact on their lives, which are quite frankly, the CPC change or town clerk or things that people are going to really want to sink their teeth into at 7:30 on a Monday night. That's
Thank
really
you,
the
Evan. Thank you, Andy.
I I found myself agreeing with a lot of Barry's points, and not to belabor the subject or continue to talk to Evan about it, because I think he had good reasons. I think everybody's making good points. I think it's in this situation, it's probably a little different because it's fall meeting. We're always trying to walk that line of making things as accessible as possible. And from an effort standpoint, I guess I'm saying, if I'm already on the fence about attending the meeting and I know I'm going to go there and we're going to vote on one item and then the town meeting, then everything's done and everybody walks away, it might further de-incentivize me to go if I say, what's the point in getting all done up and heading over to town meeting for 5 minutes to just go, all right, see everybody later. If we at least have a couple consent agenda items to vote on, it makes you feel like you did something.
I have to agree with Andy on that. I'm sorry, I said I have to.
No, that's okay.
Andy makes a good point.
He did. That's why he's going to the finance committee webinars. Dan.
Yeah, I just want to respond to what Barry said about people showing up to town meeting and seeing the warrant for the first time when they check in. I feel like we should expect people to know what they're voting on when they vote. And even without the consent agenda, if you remember in June 2020, we did not do the consent agenda. That was our first one doing it on the field. And we had we were doing the contingency budget at that town meeting. And we had money for police equipment in one article and money for fire equipment in another article, or maybe it was police cruisers and fire equipment. And then both of those were also included in the contingent budget. And Finance Committee recommended against both of those. And we did one of them, I forgot which one first. We did one of them and everybody just kind of voted with the Finance Committee recommendation. And then on the second one, there was more discussion from people who supported it. And then people who were there attending town meeting felt like they made a mistake and wanted to go back, and they couldn't because those are the rules. And we had that problem without the consent agenda. So I think it's a problem either way. And I think it's a problem that is on the voters. You know, they voted not understanding what they're voting on. And they shouldn't have, you know, it's.
No, fair point, fair point. Andy, did you have a follow-up?
I want to counterpoint myself.
Oh, God.
But I think it may play into what Dan's getting at a little bit, in that it might also not be the fault of the consent agenda. Maybe it's more of a pacing issue that, you know, we ask the moderator to slow down and make sure people have had, you know, ample opportunity to ask their questions, things like that. You know, flip side.
Evan, last comment on this subject.
Yes. We're happy to do it. If FinCom has an opinion or comes to an opinion, we're happy to go along with any recommendations that you folks make. If you feel it's better to block them out by department or by, you know, intent, i.e. land donation, whatever, we can certainly do it that way. Like I said, we spent a lot of time back and forth and playing around with this, and this is just where we ended up.
I listening to what Irene said, I think if you sort of shrink the blocks down to all the land in one, all the financial ones in another, and whatever, I think that might be a little better explanation at town meeting, and they'll still probably pass, and people aren't going to hold them because those are just routine articles. But I think I agree with what Irene said.
Yeah,
I think if you shrink it down a little bit, makes sense.
Yep, yeah, I agree.
Sue, do we have a bill that we have to pay?
It is not technically prepared because I was waiting on Andy, but if you want to entertain a motion for
How much?
125,
And this will
125,
allow the members, all the other members that want to go to this thing, go.
5 members at $25 each.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to pay that bill.
Second,
Any further discussion? All those in favor by roll call, Barry,
aye.
Sue,
Aye.
Andy,
Aye, sorry.
Dan. That's okay,
Aye.
Dan.
Aye.
Irene,
Aye.
Gopal,
Aye.
Angelina,
Aye.
Mark, aye. Being no other business, we will adjourn. Thank you. This is a great, oh, go ahead. Oh, I guess there is other business. Go ahead, Sue.
Just for a moment, since we're going to be completing our public hearing tomorrow night, would someone like to present some a recommendation for 23, 24, 25, and 19, maybe? Someone write them so that we can get an idea, or what William is going to write on them.
And what our recommendations are?
Yes, please.
So 19 is the town meeting on Saturday. Evan, do we want William to take a crack at it and then we'll review them tomorrow night?
William will be out, so it'll be me writing
Okay,
them.
so do we want Evan to take a crack at it?
So we did not write those mainly because we didn't want to presuppose. I mean, the other ones seem pretty
Yep, no, I agree with you.
more of a sure thing. We've gotten a feel for FinCom and think we were doing reasonable things. The other ones we did not want to take a crack at because we don't know your approach. So given the ones that you've already voted on, I can write the recommendations for.
Okay.
Anything you haven't done yet on those ones, I'll just leave blank and we'll do them after.
Okay.
Is that
Is that okay?
Yeah,
Sure.
we could do them tomorrow night,
Okay.
certainly.
All right, anything else?
That's it.
Great
on this.
Hey, everybody, great meeting. This was really, a lot of good debate. I look forward to tomorrow night. So we'll see you all tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. I'm adjourning the meeting. Have a good night, everyone.